The Team USA training camp has been really fun to follow. We had 32, I believe, of the best young under 19 prep basketball players in attendance, competing to join Team USA for I think is it a World Cup event, Junior World Cup or something next week. Uh, do you know what it is specifically?
I think it's the Junior World Cup. I think you're
Yeah,
right.
I forget exactly how it's termed, but I think they're going to Switzerland or something like that. Anyways, really fun event. Mark Pope was one of the coaches. We had KSR in attendance this week, and shout out to Jack Pilgrim with KSR, who wrote a really awesome, basically very detailed report on everything he saw. On3 has done a really good job covering this all week, but this was just I don't know. I really enjoyed this article. He went into more detail than I think I've seen from anybody else on everything he saw in the gym. Very interestingly, though, on top of some love for Jasper Johnson and Malachi Moreno and just the whole situation of Mark Pope being able to coach all of this young talent, very interestingly, at the end of this article, Jack writes about the best players he saw at the event. And I'm going to read an excerpt from Jack Pilgrim's write up, but everybody go subscribe to On3 to see the full article and follow everything KSR. This is what Jack wrote after being in the gym and seeing this week. Quote, if I were to single out the top three performers in the event, I'd pretty easily go with Louisville's Mikel Brown, Arizona's Koa Pete, and BYU's AJ DeBonsa, likely in that order. Brown was a human flamethrower and had a superstar it factor at the point guard position. He goes on to praise Koa Pete and DeBonsa, saying that Pete was just super productive, completely consistent, and DeBonsa had jaw-dropping highs that were higher than anyone's. But Mikel Brown singled out as the best of the bunch, even ahead of Koa Pete and DeBonsa, a human flamethrower with a superstar it factor. And mind you, Dion, this is KSR reporting that Louisville's incoming freshman point guard was the best player at this event. That is notable to me. What is your reaction to this?
I get it. He was pretty special. I can't. Him and oddly enough, him and Malachi Moreno were roommates for the. Well, I guess they still are technically because the camp's still going on. But they're roommates for the USA training camp. He dunked on him a few days ago with the left too. Came around the corner, opposite hand, punching on one of the best bigs to come out of this recruiting class. Um, The one thing about Mikel Brown that I really love is the flair aspect to his game. So the superstar comment makes a ton of sense to me. Like this kid has the it factor on and off the court. Like he's not going to quietly hit you for 20. When he hits you for 20, you're going to hear and see every single point that he makes. I do think that tends to lead to some, I guess you could say like lackluster performances too. But when he's on, he's everything that he was described by KSR. Um, Funny enough, it seems like him and Jasper are in a like head-to-head race for that one of those final roster spots, and they're kind of going back and forth with each other to kind of get it. So I think we're getting a little bit of that Kentucky Louisville rivalry at the Team USA camp early on, 4 months before, or five, excuse me, 5 months before we get Kentucky Louisville at the Yum, as they call it. I've been learning that. So I think it's fun. KSR is getting involved. Mikel's been phenomenal, but I think ultimately, like this whole team has a ton of talent on it. It's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, it sounds like I buy everything Jack wrote. He was in the gym, and this is a great write up. Like I said, I really enjoyed like taking his takeaways and making them mine. But I feel like he the Michael Brown part is the part that feels different. Like if you read the updates from anyone else in the gym, my interpretation of everybody else was DeBonsa was pretty clearly the best player. But he's right. The consensus, I think, has been that it's DeBonsa, Koa Pete, and Michael Brown in some order. Those three have clearly been on a tier of their own. But I think others might argue DeBonsa was even in a more special tier of their own. Like if there's a house where the elite of the elite sit in, DeBonsa is the only one with access to like the bedroom. And then
Right.
everybody else is like on the main floor. And then no one else is even allowed in the house. I just find it so interesting that the Jack's interpretation of the week was that Mike Hell was even ahead of AJ. I mean, I didn't think that was possible based on what anybody else is saying. And I saw the clips, like I've seen the highlights. Mikel was sensational. I have a lot of scrambling to do here, Dion, because I've been a Mikel Brown skeptic based on some of the All Star game performances that I saw this year. I just didn't love his approach. He had a couple games where he just really was cold from the field. He ended up with like 20 points in a game, and 18 of them came at the free throw line while he missed 9 of his 10 shots. And I don't know. He's a volume scorer, but I think I have been underestimating. Like maybe I just watched a couple bad days from him because the superstar it factor is definitely there. This kid plays with a swagger that has been unmatched from anybody in the class of 2025. I've long insinuated that I think my issue with Louisville would be they have too many guards. I mean, between Mikel Brown and Ryan Conwell, Adrian Woolley, and Isaac McNeely, is there enough ball to go around for them? This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's, that's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video. But if Mikel Brown is outperforming AJ DeBonsa right now, none of that matters. Who cares if there's enough ball to go to Isaac McNeely and Adrian Woolley if you have a guard that is better than AJ DeBonsa? And again, I don't mean to imply that like KSR puts the positive Kentucky spin on everything. That's not my job to determine if they do or not. But they certainly, KSR certainly does not have to go out of their way to praise Louisville. And that's what just happened here. And if that's happening, guess what? It's real. Because as we have KSR writing that Mikel Brown was better than AJ Devonsa this week, we also have Louisville and Kentucky, Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope going head to head for the next best players in the class. Tyron Stokes is deciding between these two. Tay Kinney, a point guard, is deciding between these two. And if all this praise, like if Mikel Brown is the best freshman in college basketball next year, guess what? It's going to be hard for Tyron Stokes and Tay Kinney to turn down going to Louisville. And I've talked about how it's a chess match between Pope and Kelsey. This is a notable move, I think. This is a shift in the board if Mikel Brown looks like that good of a player.
Yeah, we're definitely in check at the moment, Mark Pope. But I trust Mark Pope to get out of this. I mean, he's got two dudes at the camp. I trust him to get out of this little spot that he's in and just speak on it. You know, what I mean, like he'll say something like, we don't want the best player at the camp. We want the next four best players because that's a team. And I'll be like, you know what? That's right. Like we don't actually want the best player. We want four of the worst because they would make a good team. And like you'll just buy into it. But I do think Pat Kelsey's he's both of them are so polarizing. Pat Kelsey's the perfect coach for Mikel Brown. I don't think Mikel Brown works at Kentucky, right? I'm not sure Kenny works at Kentucky, but I think he works with Pat Kelsey. I think what both Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope do so well is finding personalities that fit within what they want to do. And you kind of see that with the way Mikel's shining at this Team USA camp. And then you take a Jasper Johnson who's quietly putting himself in a position to make this team that I think going into camp, no one really thought he had a shot at making. And that's the most Mark Pope storyline of all, right? Where it's like, hey, like everyone kind of doubted us, boom, we're on the roster. The most Pat Kelsey storyline of all is like, I'm very loudly about to make this team, and you're going to know exactly who I am. And it just shows the contrast in personalities, not just between the coaches, but the players they're bringing in. And it's honestly, it's pretty elite storytelling, and we're 5 months away from these two teams facing off, too.
You're 100% right. This rivalry is playing out true to who these guys are. And you're starting to see their identities become their program's identities as we speak. Mikel Brown, superstar, it factor, loud, in your face, watch me. That's Pat Kelsey. Mark Pope, quiet, gratitude. Let's make the team. Let's be productive. Let's do it for the jersey on the front. As these teams get better and better, if these two teams programs solidify themselves as annual contenders, top five teams in the sport, it's going to be so fun to watch this contrast. But yeah, I just it felt like such a noteworthy moment that we've got KSR heaping this type of praise on a Louisville incoming point guard at an event where there were a lot of good Kentucky storylines, but the biggest storyline was Mikel Brown. That's got my full attention. It honestly got a miniature L up from me, but I don't want to do that on camera.